Hi. This is the Billionaire's Couch. Uh, this is one of the most powerful shows, I've ever been in. And the aim of the show is to provoke, is to empower, and is to inspire people. Okay, so as you watch the show, I promise you, you'll be provoked. Stand up and do something. You'll be inspired, and you'll be empowered. I am Mr. Billionaire, and
here it's Mr. Vusi. And we also believe that everything that is happening under the sun, it starts with the mind.
yes,
You imagine things and you make it happen.
yes,
So when it's like that, things don't just happen.
mhm.
You make them happen.
That's the thing. That's the thing, because a lot of people, there's two concepts that I always, uh, uh, that I always talk about, or I always try to explain whenever I'm in a speaking engagement. Desire, design, and predestined. Because a lot of us, we think that we're predestined for success when we are designed for success. So it means every person living under the sun can become successful, can leave a mark, because when you're predestined, it means you don't have to do anything in order for something to happen. I can go to sleep now and wake up a millionaire, or wake up the best speaker. But when you understand that you're designed for something, you know that if I don't do anything about it, then nothing is going to happen.
Which means in everything that you do or think about, it's all in your mind to make that thing happen.
That's the thing.
So the thing is, while making that thing happen, how do you come to a point where you imagine thing or think of something and make that thing to come to life? Why? Because most people struggle on making their thoughts to become something. So how do you come to a point where you think of something and make it to come to life?
It's thoughts which are invincible. We talk about the invincibility and visibility here. Thoughts are invincible. You cannot see them, you cannot touch them. Okay, and it's very important, because when you have to move from point A, thoughts, to point B, manifestation. In between, it's a process. Everything that we see that is tangible, it once existed in someone else's mind, and they had to take a step. They had to invest their time. They had to invest their efforts. They had to. It reminds me of 50 Cent, and Mariah Carey. I'm just going to use the two as an example. 50 Cent, when he was making one of his movies, he did not sleep for 3 days. And then they said to him, 50, you have to sleep. And he said, no, sleep is for the broke. I need to get this done. Mariah Carey, you remember there was a time where she fell out, and when she came back, she spent, I think, roughly 2 to 3 days. She was not sleeping, because she knew that this is what I want. I have an idea. And in order for me to bring it into manifestation or into reality, or in biblical terms, we say, bring it into flesh, where it is tangible and visible, I have to work hard. I need to invest all my time. I need to invest all my creativity. I need to invest all my efforts into it, because I could have a beautiful idea, or a $1 million idea, or an idea that could help change the world. But if it stays in the head, it at the end of the day, you know what it becomes? An idea that stays in your mind and not be transformed into something tangible. At the end of the day, it becomes a nightmare. It becomes a nightmare.
So even if it's a brilliant idea, it can end up being a nightmare.
A nightmare. If you don't bring it into manifestation, if you don't take it out of your head and then you work it out until it becomes something tangible.
So I've been into a book that you wrote, but I find something interesting there. You said you can only if you believe. So say that phrase that you can if you believe, which means you only if you believe, or when you take a step. So I want to understand this. You can if you believe, and you said you have to put a more effort onto it. So believing and effort, how do you construct that to make things happen?
That's the thing, because when I came up with that statement, I'm looking at. I'm an English teacher. I love English, and believe it's a verb. It's an action word. So when I say you can, if you take a step, if you do something about what you have conceived in your mind, because a lot of times what we do, one of the most important part in a human being is the mind, and we tend to neglect, because when God, I believe that everything comes from an idea. Everything that we see, the cars that we drive today, they were once an idea. The houses, the skyscrapers, the place, every invention, it was once in someone else's mind, but they had to work it out and make sure. I did history. I'm just going to go into there. I did history, like people like Roosevelt, because what Roosevelt did? He did not sleep. He took what we call a cat nap. It's like, okay, let me just go take a nap, then I can wake up and continue working on
whatever idea.
Yes, and one of the problems that I think we sleep a lot, and we think a lot. We have brilliant ideas, but we lack the belief. We don't have action. You see, and at the end of the day, if you don't want regret to form part of your life, if you don't want to have, 1,000 nightmares, because one day, maybe probably 10 years or 20 years from now, you're going to look back and say, oh, I had a brilliant idea. I should have done something about it. Now you can't do anything about it. So instead of becoming an inspirational idea, it becomes a nightmare. Something that haunts you, something that impact you in a negative way or affect you in a negative
Because
way.
it didn't take action.
You didn't take action. We need to take action. When you have an idea, know that if you incubate on that idea, if you keep it in your head, eventually it will become a nightmare. There's people who wish, R. Kelly, wrote this song, if I could turn back the hand of time, and that's impossible. In life, there's no undo button. You see, there's no undo button. So a lot of people, like most of the times when I'm talking to people, I'm like, okay, like my learners at school, this is what I say, or speaking to young people, this is what I say. You don't want to become like your parents, because your parents wish they could go back to your age,
yes.
and they wish they
And redo.
That's the thing, because they realize that we had so much ideas, we had so much privileges, we were so much blessed, but we did not do anything. We just hoped. You see, when you're a prisoner of hope, you hope something good might happen, but you're not doing anything about it. You see, God had brilliant ideas. See, when we go to Genesis, when God had the picture of the universe, picture of the creation, it was in his head, but he had to do something. He spoke. If he had kept quiet, nothing would have happened then. So you cannot think something into reality. Okay, you work it out. You build on it. It takes the whole of you. It takes your mind, it takes your body. Sometimes it takes your time, it takes your efforts, it takes your money. It takes the whole of you.
No, but there's a phrase that you mentioned in your book, that God, when he gives you something, everything that he gives you is incomplete.
Yes.
So do you think that the ideas that people are coming up with and working on it, they are incomplete? They just need, so for them to be complete, they need belief and extra effort in it. Because you mentioned that everything that God gives is incomplete.
Yes.
So which means we are in a work of completing what God has already started.
That's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing. That's why when we go to church, we are taught that revelation is I need to put it the right way. It's revelation. What do they put it? I mean, when God reveals something to you, He does not give you the entire picture. I think you've seen that a lot of times where maybe you're ministering and God points you to someone and you don't even know what God wants you to say. You just feel inspired to call that person, but as you take the step of faith and say, you come here because God wants to say something. You don't even know what God wants to say. As
They
you
draw
take
closer.
as they draw closer, God begins to reveal to you bit by bit. It does not give you the whole picture in most instances. So I think for me that's how it is, because life was designed to be lived by faith. Was designed to be lived by faith. So you remember even when God called Abraham, he says, no, leave your country and your people and go to a place I will show you. God did not reveal to him the place. He had to take the step of faith. He had to start something, So I think when I wrote this book, Nothing is Automatic, I got a title out of the blue and I was inspired. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna start writing. I wrote a page, gave it to a friend, and my friend went through the page and they're like, wow, this is powerful. Continue writing. You see that? And I started with a page. Now after some time I had a lot of pages. But if I did not take the initiative, if I did not take a step, I wouldn't have managed to take 1,000 steps that I've taken.
So, speaking about the phrase, nothing is automatic, I want you to explain to me which steps or which gears does one need to go through to come to a point where a single idea became a huge thing. Well, because when you say nothing is automatic, which means there are some steps or gears or levels one needs to go through.
That's the thing. You mentioned the concept gear, and I'll come to that now. And that something jumped like in me when you mentioned that. I'm going to use that as an example. You see, when we go to Matthew chapter 7, verse 7, you remember that it's ask. It says knock, the door shall be open. Seek, shall find. And the other one it says,
Ask and it shall be given.
Ask and it shall be given. And you realize when you go to a manual car, it's some cars have until gear number 5, some until gear number 6, and to me those are levels. So a person needs to be smart in life, because you cannot hang only with people on level number 1. There's people on level number 2, people on level number 3, 4, 5, 6. So you need to know, in order for you to grow, you need to start somewhere. If you want to move a car, you cannot start it on a higher gear. You need to start it on a lower gear. You see, so that's why sometimes it's like, okay, somewhere I said in the book, and I said start with what you have where you are. You see, sometimes to set up a billion-dollar company, you don't need a billion, you don't need 10 billions or more than a billion. Sometimes you need $10. Sometimes you need 100 rands to start that company. You start where you are with what you have. You see that? So a lot of times we do that. In gear number 1, okay, I want to have a big company. Okay, but I don't have the resources. And that's what fear, what fear does? It focuses you on reality. That's what I love about it. It focuses you on the real thing. That's what fear does. Okay, there's conversations I had with fear when I was writing the book. When I wanted to start writing the book, this is what fear said to me. He said, you cannot get this done. You know why? You don't have the experience. Number 2, you don't have the resources. Number 3, you don't have the support system, support structure. And I said to fear, okay. And I said after, is it done? Is the show done? Okay. And I said to fear, this is what I said to fear. I said, okay, I understand. You're pointing me to the realities. Okay, I don't have the support system. I don't have the experience. I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. I don't have all those things. But experience is created. It's experience and creation. As you take steps further, you are creating experience. You see. So I'm starting where I am with what I have, with no experience, 0 experience. But I know as I move forward, I will be creating experiences. And before you know it, I've taken 1,000 steps, I have experience, and I'm able to help other people.
So it's about that nothing is automatic.
Yes.
So all we wanted to say here on Billionaire's Couch is that stand up and do something.
Yes.
Your idea can become something big.
That's the thing.
So life itself, it's not on automatic. It just need efforts
Yes.
and ideas that you have.
Yes.
Let me say that you can make it happen.
Yes.
Only if you don't think that everything will happen by itself.
That's the thing.
So stand up and do something.
Yes.
This is Billionaire's Couch, and we'll meet you next time.
Ciao.
Thank you.